Hey everyone, my name is Will and I want to talk about sugar today. Um, Everyone in the health industry talks about sugar. So is sugar good or is sugar bad? So what does sugar do to your body? And what health implications do eating too much sugar have? Well, hopefully this video will explain a little bit about it and you can make up your own mind what you want to do with sugar. Okay, so let's start off with explaining what is the main purpose of sugar. So sugar for the human body is the primary source of energy. So when we eat food in the form of carbohydrates, our body breaks down the carbohydrates and it circulates in our body. And our body uses the sugar to function. So whenever we walk, we sit, various bodily functions require sugar. Okay, so sugar is our primary source of energy. So what are the types of sugar? Okay, so the type of sugar which I just explained, the type of sugar that runs in our blood is called glucose. Okay, so glucose is the sugar that's in our blood, and it's the energy source that our cells need to survive on. The second type of sugar is fructose. Okay, so what is fructose? So fructose is the primary sugar in fruits. So in fruits, there's basically not much issues because it is accompanied by a lot of nutrients and fiber. So that's a naturally occurring sugar in fruits. It's called fructose. The third type of sugar is sucrose. Okay, so what is sucrose? So sucrose is table sugar. Okay, or another name of it is double sugar. It is combining glucose and fructose, chemically bounded together. Okay, so once we eat this, the enzymes in our intestines will quickly and effectively split the glucose from the fructose, and our body will absorb it accordingly. Okay, and finally, HFCS, which stands for high fructose corn syrup, is another type of sugar, which is roughly glucose and fructose combined. But the main source of the sugar comes from corn starch. Okay, so these are the four main types of sugar. Okay, and so what does eating too much sugar do to our health and to our body? Okay, so I'm gonna give you 10 things. I'm gonna highlight 10 things that eating too much sugar does to your body. Okay. So when you're eating too much sugar, and when I say sugar in this instance, in this video, I mean the processed sugar that you get. Okay, so processed sugar in, say, lollies, in desserts, in chocolate, table sugar, all these things is what I refer to when I say sugar. So I'm not referring to necessarily the naturally occurring sugar in fructose. I'm definitely talking about the processed sugar that you get from the supermarkets and things that's putting into foods. So what are 10 things that sugar does to your body? Too much sugar does to your body. Okay, first of all, it causes your glucose level in your body to spike and then also plummet. Okay, so what does that do? It unstabilizes our blood sugar level. Okay, when you're eating too much sugar in your diet, it unstabilizes your sugar level. Okay, which can leave you feeling mood swings, you're feeling fatigued, and give you headaches. Okay, it also contributes to various cravings and a false sense of hunger. Okay, and what that does primarily is when you're having too much refined sugar in your diet, your insulin level goes all over the place. And when you're having too much insulin in your system, it gives you a false sense of hunger, and obviously it also increases the risk of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, which is point number 2. Okay, point number 3 is it affects your immune function. Okay, so when you're sick or when your immunity is already a little bit low, by eating too much sugar, it could interfere with your body's way to fight disease. Okay, so bacteria and yeast, they feed off sugar. They feed on sugar. So any excess glucose in a body causes these organisms to build and causes infections. Okay, point number 4, having too much sugar accelerates aging. Okay, this might come as a surprise to a lot of people, but when your body composition has too much sugar in it, it also messes with your skin. Okay, it contributes to wrinkles and sagging. What happens to your body when you have that sugar, and why it causes acceleration in aging, is once the sugar hits your bloodstream, it attaches itself to proteins. The mix of these proteins and sugar causes the skin to lose its elasticity and leads to premature aging. Okay, point number 5, sugar causes tooth decay. I think any good dentist would tell you that. Point number 6, too much sugar can cause gum disease, and it could also lead to heart disease. Okay, so there's been a lot of increasing evidence that shows chronic infections, like those that results in dental problems, play a role in the development of heart disease. Okay. Point number 7, sugar affects cognition in children. Okay, and this is a very important one for parents to hear. Okay, so research has found that an increase in sugar in their diet causes cognitive deficiencies and development in children. It's got a lot to do with the effects on the brain, which I'll cover a little bit later. Okay, sugar increases stress, which is the next point. When we're under stress, our body kicks into the fight or flight mode, and it releases a lot of hormones. Surprisingly, the body also has the same chemical response when the blood sugar level is low. Okay, so after you eat a really sweet snack or dessert or whatever it might be, you have a sugar spike, but very quickly followed by a drop in sugar level, and the results, it causes unexplained anxiety and stress, and for some people it causes shakiness. Another word for sugar withdrawal. Okay, and finally, sugar takes the place of a lot of important nutrients when you consume too much of it. Okay, so your body consumes so much, and when you've got too much sugar in it, it actually blocks out your body from consuming a lot of the other minerals that the body needs to have. Okay, so these are some of the things that sugar does to your body if you consume too much of it, and particularly when you consume these refined sugars. Okay, so what does sugar do to our brain? And this is very important, so listen up. Okay, so in the brain, excess sugar impairs both our cognitive skills and our self-control. Okay, so when you have too much sugar, it acts as a stimulus and increases your craving for more. Okay, so sugar is a bit like a drug. Okay, so the more you have it, the more you crave for it. Okay, because it affects the reward center of the brain. Okay, so having too much sugar causes a sugar addiction. Okay, so it's every time you have sugar, your brain has a hit of dopamine, and this becomes very, very addictive. And the more you eat, the more you crave it, the more you want to eat it, and it just becomes a vicious cycle. Sugar also, excess sugar also is very harmful to your memory, because having too much glucose in your bloodstream can result in inflammation in the brain, which leads to memory difficulties and cognitive skills, a decline in cognitive skills. Sugar also affects your mood. As I explained a little bit earlier, whenever you have a sugar high and a sugar crash, it creates major mood swings because, as I mentioned before, it causes your stress level to go up and down, and it causes massive mood swings. And having too much sugar is also linked with causing depression. Again, it's got to do with the amount of sugar in your bloodstream when you're eating too much refined sugar. When you are experiencing a sugar crash, naturally it increases your sense of anxiety, stress, and also can lead to depression as well. So guys, so sugar has some pretty profound effects on your body and on your brain. Okay, so what can we do? So what can we do about it? How can we avoid having too much sugar, refined sugar, in our diet? Well, I'm going to give you a few tips on what we can do about it. So first of all, let's think about, where do we consume most of our sugar from in terms of refined sugar? I know a lot of people have sugar with their coffees or tea. That's probably one thing that you want to start cutting out. And a lot of people love to snack. Okay, particularly when they're a little bit bored, and particularly if they feel a little bit hungry because the insulin level is a little bit imbalanced, people like to snack, and most of the time they snack on unhealthy foods, junk foods, chips, chocolates, and so forth. So I'm going to give you a few tips on additional tips on how you can cut back on sugar. First of all, get rid of soft drinks, okay, and those energy drinks. A typical can of Coke has 17 spoons of sugar in it. That's a lot. That is a lot. And if you look at those energy drinks like Powerade, Gatorade, Monster, Red Bull, all those energy drinks are also notorious for a lot of sugar in it. Okay, so what are some of the alternatives? So if you do have that craving, for something a little bit bubbly, I know I do, from time to time, go get some sparkling water. Okay, just get some light sparkling water and drink that, and hopefully that can help with the craving of just that bubbly feeling in your mouth. You can also try some tea, some herbal tea. That's also really good as well. Perhaps you can also drink some water with some lemon in it. You can squeeze a bit of lemon in it, add to the flavor. Also help stimulate your taste buds. Personally, I drink water with a pinch of salt in it. Again, that helps with a bit of the flavor, but it also helps your body absorb the water, increase the electrolytes as well. And when it comes to drinking coffee and tea, as I mentioned before, maybe try to cut down on it as well. As black coffee and black tea is probably the best. Another thing you can do is avoid desserts. Avoid sugar-loaded desserts. The cakes and brownies, creme brulees and souffles and waffles, whatever you think of them, avoid them. Okay. Well, what are some of the alternatives? Fresh fruit. Fresh fruit is really good. Fresh fruit. They've got fructose in it, which is sweet. So hopefully that can help settle down some of your sweet cravings as well. Greek yogurt, perhaps with a little bit of fruit in it, is also quite good, or maybe some cinnamon powder in it, is also quite good. And if you really need to have some chocolate, then go for the dark chocolate, okay? Because dark chocolate generally have a higher content of cocoa and usually have a lower content of sugar in it. And maybe a handful of dates, some blueberries. They're also good alternatives as well if you need to have a bit of a snack. Another thing is avoid sauces with a lot of sugar in it. So if you are one that uses a lot of sauce, for your food, for your meals, you might consider cutting down on it. The typical bottle of ketchup or barbecue sauce that you buy from the supermarkets can contain up to about 30 grams of sugar per every 100 grams. So 30% of the ingredients is sugar. And that's huge. So you might want to cut down on the sauce. So what can you do? What are some alternatives? Some fresh chili is quite good. I find that it's very useful for myself. Some vinegar is really good. And maybe some dry herbs and spices and so forth. So if you really need to add some flavor to your meals, you can try some of those things. Another way to avoid eating a high level of sugar in your diet is eat whole foods. Okay, so foods which are fresh, which are not processed, which are not packaged. Because what you'll find in most packaged foods and processed foods is they add sugar in it. And why do they do so? Because food manufacturers know that their food would taste better if there's a little bit of sugar in it. They add a little bit of sugar in it. So what you want to do is when you go shopping in the supermarkets is try to shop in the peripheral of the supermarket. Buy the fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh meats, and fresh produces, and avoid going to the middle of the supermarket, and avoid going to the fridges and buying those pre-packed frozen meals. That's a really good way to avoid sugar, and also you're getting more nutrients from fresh foods as well, rather than those pre-made and pre-packaged or processed foods. Another one to look out for is those so-called healthy snacks. Okay, so what you might find in a lot of say muesli bars, or those so-called healthy protein bars, or healthy snacks, has a surprisingly high content of sugar. Okay, so always read the label of everything that you buy. Okay, anything that's got added sugar in it, try to avoid. Okay, you know, what are some of the alternatives? A handful of nuts, perhaps almonds. Almonds are really good. Almonds have good calories, good level of protein, and some pretty healthy fats. Some eggs are good as well. You know, hard-boiled eggs. You know, eggs are a superfood. You know, high in protein, high in vitamins, high in minerals, and again, fresh fruit. And even fresh vegetables are quite good as well. I mean, you can eat vegetables raw. I mean, you can cut up some carrots, some cucumber, celery, zucchini, whatever it might be. You can eat most fruits raw, and you know they're also a really good alternative to your so-called, you know, healthy snacks. And finally, you want to avoid really sugar-filled breakfast foods. Cereals are notorious for added sugar. If you look at cornflakes, for example, or Cocoa Pops, for example, you know, a lot of these kids' cereals, you'll find there's a ton of added sugar in it. So avoid eating those breakfast cereals. And you know, some alternatives could be oatmeal, some fresh hot oatmeal. It's also quite good. Some Greek yogurt, some eggs, however you want it, you know, scrambled, fried. You might want to make it into an omelette. That's also really good. Avocado, for example, avocado toast, perhaps, it's also really good. And also with bread, while that we're on it, also check the label on all the breads that you buy that they don't add sugar in it. Some manufacturers do sneak a bit of added sugar in there as well. So guys, you know, in closing, a low sugar diet is probably the way to go. Having a healthy wholemeal based diet is definitely going to be very helpful in avoiding sugar. And you know, when you start cutting out sugar, you're going to start feeling a lot better. You're going to start to see your weight go down. You're going to feel a lot more stability in your energy level throughout the day, so you don't need to reach out for a snack or that 3 p.m. coffee, which a lot of people do. And if you resort to good eating, you know, your meals consisting of good lean protein and lots of vegetables and a bit of carbohydrates, you're going to feel a lot fuller for a lot longer. So you're not going to want to reach out for more snacks and overeat. So guys, I hope you found this video very useful. So it's definitely going to make you start thinking a little bit more about sugar and what sugar does to your body and to your brain, and also probably going to start making you think about, you know, what stuff you're going to eat and how you can prepare your food.